Welcome to this week's news roundup. Sorry there wasn't one last week, but we will now cover all the board game news from both last and this week. And there's plenty to talk about, so let's get right to it for the week of July 3rd, 2023. Let's start off by what I hope will be the final update when it comes to the One Ring. If you didn't watch previous news roundup, Magic the Gathering did a Lord of the Rings set, and there is a One Ring card in it, of course. However, they did a special art version of it, a one of one, meaning there's only one copy of this card with this special treatment in the world. Now, this became highly sought after, and so much so that the special packs it came in to buy a box of that went up for over $500. And there were bounties put on the card, including first $1 million and then 2 million euros from a store in Spain. Now, there are multiple people who claim to open it, usually proven to be false. However, we can now confirm the One Ring has been found. Opened in Canada, not only has it been graded already by an official trading card game grading company, but Magic the Gathering has also confirmed that that is the One Ring. This, of course, first off, caused a lot of those boxes I mentioned before to plummet in price. However, they have gone back up to what actually is the normal price for these collector booster boxes. So it does seem that the set is still desirable. It wasn't just the One Ring that held these prices up, which makes sense with some of the cards included in the Lord of the Rings set. But the store that said that they'd buy for $1 million has confirmed that they're going to reach out and say, yes, we will still pay $1 million for this card. However, if anyone else would like to bid higher than that, here's an email address. No word yet about the store in Spain if they're going to do the 2 million euros. Regardless, the hunt for this very expensive ring is over. The Lord of the Rings set will be considered probably one of the biggest successes for Magic the Gathering. Whether we'll see this implemented again in terms of just seeing the one of, regardless of whether it's a Universe Beyond set or even sets set in the Magic universe, or are we going to start seeing more universes beyond because they see how desirable it is for not just Magic players, but fans of whatever the property is? So, I mean, the ring was definitely being hunted by Lord of the Rings fans as well as people who just saw the lottery ticket that is a one-of-one card. Will it be as successful as the One Ring? I'm not so certain. Lord of the Rings is a huge property, and it'd be hard to find a property that they could do that again with that also isn't already having its own card game like Disney Lorcana or the Star Wars card game. But I'm sure it's something that they're now going to be thinking and planning ahead with. And as of right now, at least from what I've seen, most people are still very positive on the Lord of the Rings set. So outside of maybe like choosing a very weird property, I don't think this is something people are going to be nearly as negative about, such as the 30th anniversary debacle that happened a little while ago. Regardless, to whoever opened up the One Ring, congratulations. Now let's talk about Origins. First, we're going to talk about the attendance. When it comes to this year, just like the UK Game Expo, Origins did increase in the number of attendees, hitting about an increase of 32%, around 16,000 people. However, unlike UK Game Expo, they have not beat pre-pandemic levels, which I believe the last high beforehand was around 20,000 people, so still a bit of a ways to go. That being said, there is still growth, which is good, and we'll see how it goes for future years. Now, we also need to talk about the Origin Awards, because Origins happened, we now know the winners, so we'll quickly go over the winner for each category. So, Retail Game of the Year is going to Boop, one that I believe was also nominated for other awards, but I think in like family or kid category, so congratulations there. Original Fan Favorite is going to Flamecraft, a favorite of mine, so very happy to see that. Now, for a light social strategy, Creature Comfort takes it home. I played the sort of sequel to it, and I will say I had a lot of fun there, so I wouldn't be surprised if this also had some fun mechanics. And also, I like the cute art as well. Now, for strategy, Planet Unknown takes it home. So, once again, definitely a game you should pick up as soon as you get the chance. Then for thematic, Dead Reckoning takes it for all you pirate goers out there. And for card games, it's Scout by Oink Games. Hopefully they can add it to the digital version I have on the Switch if they haven't already. It's been a while since I've booted it up. For children games, there's Honk, which is very dangerous as you don't want to teach your child how to be a goose. And for collectible card games, the Magic the Gathering Warhammer 40k Commander Decks won. I'm very happy about that as I thought that was actually a fantastic product. For game accessories, the Deluxe Board Game Train Set, so for anyone who wants some cooler trains in their games. And for graphic design, the Pathfinder Savage World box set takes it home. For best game review, we've got the Mind Management review from Board Game Quest. And for miniature games, Lion Rampant 2nd Edition from Osprey Games is able to take it home. Now, for the core rulebook for RPGs, Coyote and Crow are able to take it. Really need to try that out. Gotta find a group to do that. But for a supplement, Agents of Doom was able to take home that award. And then finally, for 2D and 3D art, Cowboys with Big Hearts. And for 3D art, Super Mutant Swan. Now, there are tons of awards there, but the ones that caught my eye first off was the strategy game going to Planet Unknown, as this is one that's been nominated for a lot of awards and also is putting more pressure on the idea that it's going to take home the Kenner Spiel, as well as, of course, Flamecraft, one I love, so I'm happy to see it get an award, as well as the Magic the Gathering Warhammer 40k Commander decks. I actually really like those products and thought that really the only problem with them is just the limited number of printed, because it was so good. So in terms of Magic the Gathering, I mean, we just talked about the Lord of the Rings one, but I do also hope they pull from how the Warhammer decks went, because as someone who's just gone into the Warhammer theme and also enjoyed Magic, I think that those were a slam dunk. But let me know your thoughts. Did you think something was snubbed, or do you think something finally got the recognition it deserved in one of these awards? Let me know in the comments below. This is a quick one, but it's award related, so I want to put it next to the origin story because, segues and stuff. There is the Diana Jones Award nominees have been announced for this year. If you don't know, this award is pretty much given to, anything game related that they see went above and beyond in terms of elevating board gaming. Now, this means that anything could be nominated. It could be a person, could be a game. So let's go over who has a chance to win this year's award. First, we have Linda Codega, who is a tabletop gaming journalist for IO9 and Gizmodo. Then we have Coyote and Crow, the RPG that won the Best RPG Core Rule when it came to the Origin Awards. Then Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel, a Dungeons & Dragons supplemental book, as well as another RPG, Rosenstrasse. And then finally, Cole Whirl, creative director of Leader Games and the main designer of beloved games such as Root. So it's very interesting, as this isn't just game v game or designer v designer. You really have some interesting matchups, so I'm very curious to see who will win. I'd also love to hear the discussion behind it. But if you want to know, you'll just have to wait till Gen Con when they announce the winner on the Wednesday that Gen Con starts. Now onto a story that I am not excited to talk about, as not only does it involve the fear of future Kickstarters and crowdfunding projects involving board games, but one that I'm pretty much a part of. If you haven't heard, Peterson Games is a company that makes large miniature games, usually through crowdfunding such as Kickstarter. And like many companies that really focus in on crowdfunding Kickstarter, the pandemic really hurt. We've already talked about many of these companies going bankrupt. Peterson Games did not. However, they did have to fire a lot of their staff, so much so that saying that they're working on a skeleton crew, I think, would be an understatement. This worried a lot of people as they had a lot of projects in the pipeline, and they admitted that this is probably going to be an issue. That said, the ones that are mostly recently to come out, mainly Cthulhu Wars, should be safe. Well, unfortunately, it seems even Cthulhu won't be riding on safe waters. Recently, they have announced that the Cthulhu Wave 4, Onslaught 4, which is technically more of multiple Cthulhu Kickstarters, has arrived on pallets inside a warehouse, but in order for them to be shipped, they only have enough money to ship a few each month. So this isn't going to be something where they ship everything out right away. They're going to ship them out in small orders. But there are people, according to them, who are willing to pay up to $1,000 to try to get their game sooner. So the way they said they decided to deal with this was to actually add each pallet as an individual item, so to speak, on their site, where you have the option to donate money to it in order to pay the cost it would take to actually ship it out. They don't want to do piecemeal, so you have to pay for your pallet. If you backed any of these, you're going to get or have already got an email stating that your pallet number 99. And by the way, mine was put in my spam folder. Yes, I have some Cthulhu stuff here. So do check it if you haven't received an email yet. Regardless, the idea is that they need at least $55 per person to be able to ship everything out right now. Now, if no one pays anything, they're still going to ship the items out. However, if there is a pallet that has more people paying towards it, that means it's going to be pushed up in the line of when it's going to be shipped. In essence, because it's made cheaper. If it gets fully paid, it'll be shipped out right away. Now, this has led to some Obviously, discussions as people have already paid and like we need to pay again now. And what's this whole thing? It's almost like a competition. So much so, there is actually a fan site I found which basically lists which boxes are in order by the most money contributed to the pallet. It feels like almost a weird competition now. And of course, just the continued nature of people being angry of how what they thought they were paying for something in Kickstarter or any other crowdfunding project is starting to get some extra prices thrown onto there. So this is causing a whole new discussion again involving that. And of course, like I said, Cthulhu Wars isn't even like the only project Peterson Games has. There's so many more in the backlog, and this is just in North America. So obviously, a lot of people are getting even more worried. But the other fun thing to talk about was that apparently in the Peterson Games Discord, some people wanted to know because they either didn't get the email yet or whatever about what their palette is so they can, contribute to it. And they put up a sheet that would show apparently just a few letters of their email so they can look at the palette without giving away full information. But apparently, because how Excel works, there were hidden pages, and if you access them, you found out the information for 400 different backers, their real name, their home address, their phone number, and email address. So, leaking some information that most people wouldn't want out in the open. Yes, I know for a lot of this, you probably can find out from a lot of people, but it's still the kind of thing that you just don't want so easily accessible. Now, to my knowledge, this was only affecting 411 people, and I have not been contacted in any way about this. I don't know whether that they don't need to contact me about this or whether I was not one of those 400 people. I've not seen this list. I'm not going to look for it. So this has obviously put more fuel on the fire and made people plenty angry in terms of what's going on. What will happen here? I don't know. Like I said, I'm on here because I like Cthulhu Wars. It's in my top 10 games, and it sort of stinks because it's not the game's fault that this all is happening. It's not some weird game mechanic that is causing this. But this is not something to just ignore because I like the game nonetheless. What happens after this? I don't know. Like I said, these are still going to be shipped out, even if no one pays a cent. People are paying already, as I can already see through that fan site I mentioned before. And I know for me personally, partially because I have the base game already, this is more for add-on stuff. I'm more than happy to wait a little bit longer if that's what it takes. Of course, I'm on a pallet with other people. Don't know what's going to happen because of that. But we'll see what happens in the end. And then, of course, all the other games, because this isn't even like people can now get excited about the other game that's bigger. Cthulhu Wars is their crown jewel of all their games, I would feel. I don't know what's going to happen when it comes to the rest of them. You're still going to get your Cthulhu Wars stuff, but this is obviously something that is leaving a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And that's even before you take into account the data leak. And yes, it's not credit card information, nor is it every single backer. It's still the kind of thing that you don't want to hear about happening when it comes to your own personal data. Now, 2 quick stories. First, Mayfair Games is going to be making a return, but not in the way you think. If you don't remember, Mayfair Games used to be the main people who held Catan and published it. So they had one of the biggest games out there until Asmodee acquired them with Catan as well. When that happened, Mayfair pretty much just dissolved and disappeared, so much so that they didn't even focus on their trademark for their logo. And because of that, another company has acquired it. WebSphere has seemed to have claimed the trademark. From what I can tell, they had to wait and see if anyone complained about it. But regardless, got full approval at the end of last year into this year. They're now going to use the Mayfair logo as well as the name to publish a new line of board games coming soon. So it seems that this company is going to return to game shelves. One other story I want to quickly point out is that we've learned more information when it comes to Ticket to Ride Legacy. It's nothing too crazy. We've just seen some pictures and little descriptions. It seems that it's going to play similar, at least I would say, to Pandemic Legacy Season 2, but instead of stickers, you have puzzle pieces. So when you first start, you're going to basically only have access to the eastern seaboard of the United States. And as you expand, you'll unlock different puzzle pieces. Possibly, maybe there'll be special pieces that, depending on what you do or how much capital you have, you'll have different puzzle pieces with different towns available to click in. I don't know, because after 12 games, you're supposed to have your own unique map. Regardless, still looks very cool, and I'm sure something that a lot of people are excited to get their hands on at Gen Con. And now, on to game announcements. First, we've got a new expansion for Iki, the Kennerspiel nominee for this year. This one titled Iki Akibono. I apologize in advance if I'm mispronouncing that. And then, because we need more Zombicide figures, this time they're adding Monty Python. That's right. You have plenty of miniatures from throughout Monty Python's filmography, so get ready to do some very silly walks. We've also got a new Legendary expansion, this time Legendary 2099. I'm sure we're going to see Spider-Man 2099, but I believe also Doom 2099 will be featured as well as a hero. Then we have a new Avatar board game from Funko Games, as well as the announcements for the 10th edition starter sets for Warhammer 40k. This is not the Leviathan box. These are smaller things with different sizes, so get whichever one that you see fit. And then finally, I want to talk about Gloomhaven, because in case somehow you haven't heard, they have the new backer kit, which has the new 2nd edition, RPGs, miniatures, as well as the announcement that Gloomhaven, the digital version, is coming to the Nintendo Switch. But that is all the news we have this week. Let me know your thoughts on any of these stories. Is there something I missed that I should have included because it happened last week and I just couldn't fit it in? Love to hear all your thoughts in the comments down below. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and of course, your patience and waiting a week for the news. But for now, that is all I have this week. I'll see you next week on the News Roundup.